guess it helps when I actually join voice. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Last Call, the morning show that talks about the morning, the evening.
The stuff, the whatnots, some other stuff, some other things, some whatnots,
You forgot the suches.
such
You did
as.
not do the suches.
Okay.
Tugs and tickles, sometimes that too. Yes,
tugs,
yes.
tugs and tickles.
I like that. I'm going to have to incorporate that, their nose whistle. Solid work there, buddy, once again.
And the hazards of
Um,
being an AMD driver. That was discussed yesterday.
but tugs and tickles, A and B drivers.
My goals.
Stonkington's life goals. Here we go.
So here we are this morning. Data came in basically flat. Dollar sold off of it there a little bit. We'll see how much of a sell we can get over there. The news surrounding Apple, which was the catalyst for the overnight drop, is, let's just say the news is questionable at best from what's reporting. Depending on the article, which part of the article you want to read, what you want to look at, which publication you want to take a look at. It would appear that nobody wants the cheap basic model of the 14. Everybody wants the Pro. So the reports are built around, as far as cutting production or suppliers, whatever that is, for the lower base model. The expensive model is in high demand, and there is from my understanding, reading the Wall Street Journal article this morning, a fairly hefty weight for the 14 Pro. So I don't know how you counterbalance these narratives. I don't know how you sift through whatever truth you want to find. I guess a couple of years ago, the term alternative facts was kind of put out there as being something that could be a real thing. So alternative facts, yeah, I guess we can go ahead and dump the market off of that. This morning, things are looking okay. We have a plethora, once again, of Fed speakers firing off today. I posted that list earlier. Powell's speech is pre-recorded, Bender. So I don't know how much we're going to get from that. It sounds like one of those basic little intros, and then that's it. Overall, I think the levels are going to come into play here, and once again, the flow will also, as far as being somewhat important throughout the day. We're at a level that everybody's been looking at. Everybody's been saying, okay, we could go here, we could bounce here, we could go under, it's like, we could, should I stay, should I go? That is basically the theme for the day. Everybody talks about the dead cat bounce. Maybe this is it, maybe it's not. Maybe this is the rally that we're looking for to push us back up. There's just so many moving pieces. I think that the game plan, at least for me, shall still be the same. I'll continue to buy commons until I feel comfortable with options. That is me. Bender, what you got to say?
All right. Yeah. So we're currently sitting at 36.73 half. Obviously, yesterday we crossed just below those June lows, just slightly below, and then bounced overnight. Saw a little more weakness, but it has since recovered all of that. Right here, right where we're at 36.73 half, just above 36.76 is the 50 MA on the 60 minute. Let's see if we can get above that and hold it and take a shot at 3,700. If we get over that, 37.22 is the 5 MA on the daily, with 37.25 right there as well, previous support resistance, and then that 89 TMA on the weekly comes in at 37.60. That is a moving target that is moving up day by day, and as mentioned, that's the line that once we get above it, then I think it, I don't know that I'd say it's the all clear by any means, but it would certainly give me a lot more confidence as for, continued upside or the seasonal Santa Claus rally or whatever you want to call it, the Q4, typical Q4 rally. Levels below, obviously 36.60. We saw that as being a big deal yesterday, and it was kind of the upper end of the price channel or price range from March of last year. So we're kind of right in striking distance of the 50 MA on the 60 minute just above, taking us to 3,700 potentially, and breaking back below that 3660. You got a few moving averages just under 3660, but so you got the 20 MA on the 60 minute, 3648. That the 20 for me tends to only really come into play in trend days. It doesn't do a whole lot if we're going to be range bound, but when we get into those trend day moves, when it starts to pull too far away from the 20 MA and it bounces or rejects somewhere and comes back to it, that's usually where I like to look for that entry to continue the trend move. Below that, we got 3635, and then 3600. It's kind of what we're looking at.
It feels like a replay of what we've been dealing with. It seems like we get to a certain level on the chart that we could look at. This is going back. We could probably go back a month, maybe even longer. It'd be like, well, if we hold this, we're okay. We can bounce. Well, if you lose this and we go lower, if we go higher, we can go lower. If we go lower, we can go higher. It's just the same type of conversation that we're lacking any type of a catalyst, man, in order to make the move. That's really what it goes back to, a legitimate catalyst to make the move. Because if we go back for about a week ago using these levels, the June lows were something that were created when it would appear that the Fed would just stamp interest rates with no mercy. We're right back there again. Going back to June, that was a conversation, that was a narrative. So now we're in October, basically, and same conversation, and we're getting a little bit of a move in and around it, but it's still right there. Haven't gone anywhere in about, what, 4 months?
Right. I mean, what I just posted was a weekly chart, and when you look at that chart and where we're at, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, we are kind of right here for kind of the same reasons. And yeah, there's as far as looking for the next big move, we're kind of in a range that really have to get a breakout or breakdown, before we have
Some confirmation. And that confirmation could be completely random overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh, wow, we're up 3% overnight all of a sudden.
Can certainly happen.
Or it could be confirmation on the other side. It could be, oh, wow, we just limited it down. That could be the other confirmation as far as crashing through that area there. And I think that's something that's still a very realistic possibility, as far as the bulk of the pain not being in.
I think it is a possibility. I think that the reason we have to wait for confirmation is because I think that either scenario is, you can see it playing out either way. Like, okay, yeah, we knew that, some earnings were going to suffer, potentially, and, the market has priced in the majority of this. We've made our correction, and, seasonality and the almanac come into play, and okay, all right, now we can. So I can see that playing out. I can also see it playing out that, the next set of earnings come in way worse than what we were thinking, and the consumer stays strong, which the Fed doesn't like, and they decide that, well, We have not endured enough. So here we wait.
Yeah, here we wait, and it's like it becomes really, really interesting when we start talking about that. So, I was on the phone with Charlie fairly late last night. You know, we were when that Apple headline came out, we were exchanging articles, going through them, and it's just like, yeah, but it's saying this, yeah, but it's saying that, but what's the real story? And then we got into a conversation about flow and how, flow has been very, very challenging from the standpoint as far as deciphering what is and what is not actionable within the lines. Um, it's just a very, very challenging environment. And so to summarize the conversation, essentially, he asked me what I thought. I was like, well, we can short squeeze easily at any point in time. Just give me the slightest sniff of a catalyst. We could squeeze mightily to the upside. Absolutely smash bare, left, right, and sideways. That wouldn't surprise me. Also wouldn't surprise me if we limit down. That wouldn't surprise me either. I would, it's like, and it's very rare you get to the point to where, from a flow standpoint, I can honestly say, it wouldn't surprise me if we rip to the heavens off of a short squeeze. It would not surprise me if we limit down. It's like very rarely do I get to that point as far as going through. And he, the phone went silent for a couple of seconds, and he was like, well, yeah, no, you're right. It's like that's basically how things are lining up. The overall, and it's like this is what's interesting, and it becomes difficult. And I'm going to take a second to do this, and we can get to. Actually, no, we'll go to Stockington, and we'll come back to this. Stockington, what you got, so you can walk the dog?
Whoa, yeah. I did notice yesterday I was behind on the news in the sports world, catching up on these chess cheating scandals. I missed that one.
Is that big news in your world?
Well, I know you guys always with the fist to ATIS stuff. I figured this would have been high on the radar. What was it? This guy is accused of using vibrating anal beads in the chess world. So I figured, I was always keeping up on those sports that we might have missed that one.
That's not a sport.
I had to try.
Hell, he just called chess a sport.
Competitive live action.
Wow.
Well, it's I don't know if you're going to call e-games. If you're going to say e-games are a sport, you have to say chess is a sport. You can actually say Twister should be a sport if maybe even Candyland could be a sport.
The only
at
thing
the
that's
same
going
time.
to make chess a sport is if you're doing it wearing anal beads that vibrate. Okay, now there's some movement involved.
Wow. Well, look, but does that go back to performance enhancing? Is that a is it?
Do you think you'd play better?
I can't speak for myself in this situation. I've never tried this. Okay, so I can't. I have no personal experience
with. Do you perform other things better if you've got vibrating anal beads?
You never know. You don't know. Oddly enough, Roger Clemens, just to keep in line with performance enhancing, used to rub Icy Hot or Bengay all over his junk before the games because it kept him irritable and angry. So he would just rub down his pecker with fucking Icy Hot and Bengay before the game, so he was angry and uncomfortable.
Next time I got to do something that requires me to be, a little more aggressive, I might just pull out the Icy Hot. All right, sorry,
He would just rub all over his junk, so he stayed angry. Yeah. So I don't know. Is that performance enhancing? He thought it was. I don't know. Anyways.
Well, I know what I'm doing to improve my trading now. And a set. All right. Back to charts. Let's see. We've got NVIDIA and Tesla. I didn't have to do any updates on the list trigger, so NVIDIA, I'm going to be watching what happens up here at 124.75. If we were to move down on NVIDIA, I'm looking at 123 flat. And then there are a couple of dark pools past each of these levels that would be good ones to keep an eye on just in case. I've got 125.61 to the upside, and then 122.28 to the downside. Doesn't look like there was a big reaction pre-market to 122.28, but we'll see what we get today. Tesla, I'm going to be watching. Again, Swan and I both have it. Triggers off by pennies. I'm looking at 124.1, and above that, I've got I say 2
Yeah, no, you did. I'm wondering what planet you're on over there, buddy. Let's pull it together.
Man, good. My icy hot on my balls to my head straight here. So 284.1 is the trigger. I also have a line above it, 287.7. 280.6 would be the potential trigger to the downside. And then I also have 277.95. There's a fib support down there. Netflix sounds like there was a price target upgrade there. So I'm looking at, it is coming up to resistance just based on the chart, but if everyone's looking at this price target upgrade, it could rip. We got a dark pool line 229.87, so we'd be looking to pop that for a move to the upside, and then 226 flat if we were to move down. That's another dark pool on the Netflix, and that's all I got.
All right, very good. Yeah, Netflix is really, really interesting. And I think that until, at least for me, until I get, confirmation on how their ad revs are going to come in and what the actual demand is, as opposed to random headlines and hearsay as far as how it's going to be rolled out and what that demand is going to be. It's like that model, that business model that I've been bearish on for the last 5 years, if not longer, with Netflix. That model can change substantially based on how they're able to execute this new ad model. It can change like in a heartbeat as far as what that is. The biggest issue with Netflix was the lack of, I don't want to say revenue, but I think in a lot of ways revenue. They reach stagnant returns with their model, their subscription base. It's like the growth has disappeared. So now the only way to grow is to incorporate ad revs. How that plays out, I have no idea. But you would imagine, and the one thing that I do know, and it's a little bit of insider baseball over here on the on Netflix. Netflix has a very, very comprehensive data set on the
absolutely.
users.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the ability for them to truly target is probably better than the vast majority of advertisers out there. They're being fair.
All right, I just want to call something out real quick because I'm impressed by this. Anybody, all of you that have been here for any period of time, have heard Hell's literally bash Netflix into the ground. They're the biggest piece of shit. They suck at everything that they do. I mean, you couldn't find somebody that was more negative on Netflix, and now he's like, well, no, but they have this and they have that. So I applaud you for that, and honestly, it's the same reason when I was short Sell H the first time, it made perfect sense. And then they came out and it was rumored that somebody might buy them. I'm looking at the numbers going, there's no way they're going to get bought. It's way too expensive. It's not going to happen. But then they came out and they signed a distribution agreement with, I think, Pepsi and somebody. And then it's like, okay, all right, well, there goes that idea. So the ability to be able to take in that information, look at it objectively, and decide when you need to go, okay, all right, maybe they're not going to zero. This could work for them, and I agree with you that the data data is king, and the data that they have as it relates to the viewing habits of their customers is very valuable. Very valuable. I'm not saying it works or it doesn't work. I'm just impressed that you are able to that you're able to look at that and go from, God, I fucking hate Netflix, they're going to zero, and Disney's gonna eat their lunch, and this is gonna happen, to being able to say, well, no, now this could actually make them some money.
And if you go back, at least with the Netflix argument, and I'll keep it brief, the vast majority of these content creators, they make money off of syndication. So when you're able to syndicate, when you're able to redistribute your base, your content, you're able to continue to make money year after year after year, right? That's why Friends gets sold to Netflix or Hulu or whatever else. They're still catching checks off of content from 100 million years ago. MASH, great example. Cheers, great example. Those rights get distributed all the time, and the coffers get filled. The problem I always have with Netflix is there was no syndication model. There was no model. There was nothing but acquisition from their standpoint. Acquire, but there was no additional revenue outside of just subscription base. Ad revs changed that. And I think I talked about ad revs. If you go back 5 years ago, the whole concept of why ad revs are important, why syndication is important. When you change that model, you have to, if you're not going to be an honest broker, and Bender, I appreciate you bringing this up, you have to be an honest broker at the end of the day. And I know that I get a lot of heat in here. I know people have a lot of opinions on me, but the one thing that I do take pride in is trying to call it straight. That's the only thing I try to do, is to call it straight, how I see it. All I can do every day. So there is that. So thank you for that, Bender. The cell age thing is another great example. If you're not, sometimes you have to remove some of your tent when facts come out. Catalysts present. You have to look at that. Cell age could still be expensive as fuck where it is, but Pepsi saw something that's going to keep their coffers full for a minute. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. And if not, you're making a mistake. So I was going to touch on some commentary that I saw here in chat this morning. I'm just gonna let it go. We are where we are, and we're going to be where we're going to be. I'm going to try to focus on flow and do that job best that I can. That's all I got, Bender. Stockington, I'm sure, is off dog walking. Anybody else have anything else?
I do need to let you know that today I have to leave. There's actually 100 and some acres that we're going to go look at that just became available.
Very nice.
And so we're going to go take a look at that, and it's about 2 hours away. So I think I have to leave, if I'm out of the house later than 11, my wife's going to be freaking out because, like I said, it's 2 hours and we have an appointment. We're supposed to be there.
2 hours.
Yeah. So
then that's still a late night. Well, all right, man. I wish you the best with it. Before you bail out, if you wouldn't mind giving us a progress report on where we are with the levels.
Absolutely.
Would be appreciated. All right, guys. We have about 15 minutes until open. Let's see what they give us. The one thing that I do want to warn about, at least I've been watching level 2 and the chart pretty much all morning. They have the ability to pull the rug in a heartbeat on some of these candles. So you can be trending up really, really well, be like, yeah, no, I'm banking out. You're up 20, 30%, and all of a sudden you're down 30% in a sniff. Just be aware of that. I know it could be really frustrating to use stops and setting stops. A lot of these candles are meant to rip stops wide open and then re-push or re-drop. But if you have a stop set, guess what? You can't lose. You can't. May not win, but you can't lose. And sometimes in an environment like this, you take what they'll give you. That's all I got. Let's get ready to play.